Hey guys, for episode 96, Rez Hockey is proud to have our guest for this week. He is from Calgary, Alberta. He's a former Calgary Flame, which Bush is not a fan of, I don't think, with him being an
Oh,
Oilers fan. But we
why'd you
can't.
tell him that?
Before you came on, I told you that you were an Oilers fan. Rez Hockey would like to welcome Mr. Theo Fleury to the show. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good to see you
Uh,
guys.
Good to see you. I was doing a lot of chirping before we recorded because with our senior hockey days and whatnot. But yeah, it's good to have you on the show, and we'll get it started. Favorite NHL moment? What comes to mind when someone asks you what's your favorite moment?
Oh man, I don't know. There's too many. Um, I would say instead of a moment, pretty much my whole entire life, everybody said, "You're too small. You're never gonna make it. You're too small. You're never gonna make it. You're never gonna play one game in the National Hockey League." And the simple fact that, I played for 15 years. I played over 1,100 games, including playoffs, averaged, you know, 1,100 points. And yeah, got to be a part of some big moments in hockey, and play with the greatest players and against the greatest players, I think, in the greatest era of hockey that there was. So, um, I think, when you become a professional, it's about winning. You know, like they don't pay you millions of dollars to lose, right?
Yeah,
And it's about winning. And for me, I had lots of incredible winning opportunities as a professional and as a junior too. And you know, like I have six, like they're right here, right behind me here. I have six different championship rings that I won in my career. And to me, that's what it's all about. Is about winning, right? The bottom line is winning, um, and when you don't win, it's a disappointment, right? It's a disappointment, and that forces you to work harder the next summer and get yourself in better shape, and all those things. So yeah, I would say, you know, World Junior, Stanley Cup, Turner Cup, Canada Cup, you know, Olympic gold medal, they're all special and they're all different, right? They're all different experiences. But, I don't know too many guys that have six different championship rings. Maybe Niedermeyer comes to mind. But other than that, very proud to, and I have three of my most important jerseys on the wall. There's my Olympic jersey, there's my Canada Cup jersey, and there's my Stanley Cup from '89. So yeah.
yeah. The jerseys in the back. What team was better, your Canada Cup or your Olympic?
The Olympic team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, think about it. I played on the fourth line with Joe Newendike and Brendan Shanahan. 1,500 career goals and over 3,000 points combined. And we were the fourth line.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Pretty good team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's put it in perspective. Yeah, that's fourth line. That's I don't know. I can't really fathom that unless you're at that level, I guess. Like um okay. Best player played against and your best player played with.
Hmm. Well, what I find funny is, when a McDavid comes along or an Austin Matthews comes along or Connor Bedard, and people, freak out and lose their minds. Well, when I was playing, there was 40 of those guys in the league, right? Eisenman, Gretzky, Lemieux, Sakic, Forsberg, Lindros, Neuendijk, Gilmore, Sundin, like, the list goes on and on and on and on. And so I would say, the greatest player was Gretzky, with a close second to Mario. And and I got to play with both those guys, right? I played with Gretz in '98 Olympics, and then I played with Mario in the 2002 Olympics. So, great guys, amazing leaders. I would say they're even better people than they are players, and as as a hockey player, it's very rare that you get to be around greatness, and you can learn so much from just observing those guys, how they prepare, how they treat people, how they treat their families, how they treat the fans, so it's such a it's like mentorship, and I remember I walked into the 2002 dressing room, and first of all, I was looking for my jersey, so I found my jersey, and I looked to the left, it was Joe Sakic, and I looked to the right, and it's Mario Lemieux. So I sat in between Mario and Joe, and I said to myself, "What the hell am I doing here?" And so I was kind of in awe. But once the tournament started, you realize that you belong there, and you have a job to do and a role to play, and it turned out spectacular.
It did, yeah.
Right there it is.
Battle of Alberta.
Hanging on my little mini Stanley Cup there. So
yeah, I see it. That's unreal. Battle of Alberta. The Flames and Oilers had some epic playoff battles. How was it playing in such an intense rivalry?
Well, as a player, those are the kind of series that you want to play in, right? Because I think it challenges you in every aspect of your game, and the series that we played in 1991, when we were getting dressed, we weren't putting on our equipment. We were putting on a suit of armor, and we were going to war, because we were trying to kill each other, like literally hurt each other every shift of every minute of every game. But how guys slash each other now?
Yeah.
We were like going like this, full baseball swing as hard as we could. And we were hoping to hit bone.
With wooden sticks.
Well, no, there. You remember the old double fiberglass coho sticks?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was a war. It was a war, and game 6, as you guys are all familiar with, maybe one of the greatest overtime goal celebrations of all time. It was an amazing series, and you know what? I don't think it didn't matter who won the series, because whoever moved on to the next round had absolutely nothing left. Like, I played the whole series with a 2nd-degree separated shoulder. I had a 2nd-degree tear in my right knee. I was getting shot up with Novocaine before the game, and but that's why we play the game, is for those moments and for those opportunities, and I to this day I think it's probably one of the greatest series that was ever played in the history of the game. So, and unfortunately, we lost in Game 7 in overtime. But you know, it was a great series and amazing to be a part of.
All right, as I've given up a couple cross ice passes the way you intercepted that. Can you just explain, like, were you hoping Messier was gonna cross ice pass that, or were you just kind of taking a little bit of chance there?
Well, I saw that he was coming up, you know, would have been the left side of the ice, and you know, I knew that he liked to pull up and then find the late guy.
Mhm.
And I saw that I anticipated that he was going to do that. And I can't remember if it was Anderson or Simpson that was, you know, breaking down that far wing. And he just didn't get enough air under the puck. And, you know, I was able to step in and you know, win a one-on-one skating race with Jeff Bukaboom, which I hope I can beat that guy. And then, you know, my specialties were breakaways. I very rarely missed breakaways. And, you know, Grant went down and just gave me enough room for the puck to go between his legs. And, you know, the rest is history.
Okay, so you represented Canada a couple times. How was it playing for your country?
So when I was 16, Hockey Canada started the program of excellence. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And so I was one of the first guys to go through the program of excellence. And so I played for Canada 10 times. Okay. So I played under 17, under 18, 2 World Juniors, 2 World Championships, a Canada Cup and a World Cup of Hockey, and 2 Olympic Games. So, you know, and every time, you know, you put the maple leaf on your chest, you know, it's special because, you know, you think of how many kids play hockey in Canada, and you're considered one of the 23 best hockey players in the whole entire country. And so not only representing yourself and Team Canada, but you're representing every guy who ever had a dream of, you know, playing in the National Hockey League, but, you know, playing in the World Junior or the World Championship or Canada Cups, World Cups, you know, Olympics. And, you know, in Canada, we don't play for bronze or silver medals, right? It's gold or nothing, right? So, but, you know, that's great. You know, that's why we play the game, is, you know, to be in those situations where, you know, you have those opportunities to win. And yeah, it was amazing every time. Didn't matter what age, what level, you know, it was special always to, you know, to wear that jersey.
1987, you were part of that Team Canada team that had that infamous line brawl, team brawl against Team Russia. You and Everett Sennipass, who is McMahon from New Brunswick.
Mhm.
How was it? How, like, talk about that for a little bit. Like, how was that, and how did it all come down?
Well, you know, at that time, it was only a round robin tournament, and the team with the best record after the round robin won the gold medal. So we played Russia in the final game, and Russia had their worst World Junior tournament ever. They were going to finish 6th, no matter if they beat us or not. And I think we had to win by 4 goals in order to have a chance to win the gold medal. And it was a really chippy, dirty kind of, you know, it's kind of like an old fashioned junior hockey game, you know, back home, right?
Yeah.
Where every night there was a line brawl or a bench clearing brawl or whatever it was, right? And this game was no different. And yeah, and it was kind of interesting because we basically brawled for about 45 minutes, right? And like we killed those guys. Like they didn't know how to fight at all. So, you know, and that might have been could have been one of the toughest world junior teams ever, right? Ever. And so, we had like 10 guys that could really, chuck them, right? So we absolutely destroyed those guys. And then, we're kind of, we're cleaning up the ice and we go back into the dressing room and we're thinking, let's go back out and finish the game. Well, the president of Hockey Canada at the time was a guy named Dennis McDonald. And he came into the room and basically said, yeah, they just kicked us out of the tournament. Why? Because like I said, back home, that was happening every night. Yeah. Every game, there was either a line brawl or bench clearing brawl or, guys were going up into the stands and fighting the fans. It was like crazy. So, yeah. So we ended up getting disqualified, didn't get a medal. But, what happened the next year was pretty special because we all got to go back. And the World Junior was in Moscow in the Soviet Union. So right in their backyard. And the Russians had a line of Fedorov, McGillney, and Bure. Was their top line. And so we beat them 3-2 in the same rink that Paul Henderson scored the goal in 1972. Wow. And we won the gold medal. And I was captain of the team. And yeah, what a feeling that was.
Wow.
Yeah. And Joe Sakic was our fourth line centerman on that team.
Holy man.
Yeah. 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 So was a pretty cool experience. Well, I think we had 12 first round draft picks on that team.
Unreal.
Yeah.
How would you do in today's NHL? You pretty much can't touch a speedy player without being.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It would be interesting to see, but like I said earlier, I love the era that I played in. I think it's the greatest era in the history of our game. The most superstars, yeah. So I don't know. No red line and nobody can hook and hold you. Jeez, I might get 100 breakaways a year. So, yeah, it would be interesting to, and the way that the style that I played to, it's similar to the way Brad Marchand plays now. And yeah, so it'd be interesting. I'm sure I'd be a lot more productive than I was kind of in the dead puck era.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you know what? The goalies are so good now. Like they're so athletic, they're so big, they cover so much of the net. So, who knows, right? Yeah.
Do you watch much of today's NHL?
I watch the Flames as much as I can. Other than that, I'm busy working, busy traveling, busy, doing other things. And, my kids are active and busy. So, I'm always doing something. So if I'm home, and there's a game on, I'll turn it on and watch it for a bit. But I'm a big baseball guy. And I'm a massive Toronto Blue Jays guy. So I probably watch, I don't know, 120 of the 160 games that they play every year. Because I was a better baseball player than I was a hockey player. So I love baseball, loved playing it, loved being outside and, but yeah, I love watching baseball.
You mentioned you do a lot of public speaking. How does it feel knowing that you're helping people make a change in their lives?
Yeah. The interesting thing is, I'm just telling my story, and the weird fact is that, you know, my story is your story, and their story is my story. You take out all the hockey stuff and all that, and just from a human perspective, you know, um, we've all experienced trauma in our life, and that trauma leaves us in emotional pain and suffering, and it's something that we can't see. You can't see emotional pain. You can see physical pain, but you can't see emotional pain, which causes people to, not want to talk about, what happened to them. And so, how do we deal with this, emotional pain and scars that are left behind? Well, we tend to gravitate towards the dark side of life and get involved in addictive behavior as a coping mechanism to suppress, the emotional pain that we're experiencing in life. And yeah, so that's all I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to let people know that, you know, even big time NHL superstars, have shit that they got to deal with. And when you don't deal with it, you know, there's a chance you could die, and I was very close to dying, 20 years ago, you know, and to be able to go from that, being a desperate, suicidal, you know, crazy person to being a person now that, I stand on stage and bring people hope and try to inspire them that they can overcome, you know, anything as well. It's a great feeling. And I've been to 450 of the 630 First Nations communities in Canada. And, you know, I just, Sunday, I spent 4 hours in the sweat lodge, and what was kind of interesting is, I'm there to speak and I'm there to help people. But what really happened is in those communities is where I found my spirituality, and I found the creator, and I found the grandfathers and the grandmothers, and medicine men and spiritual teachers. And they told me that the grandfathers and grandmothers left a whole bunch of tools behind that they knew we were going to need to use to heal. And all I did was picked up the tools, right? Picked up the smudge, grabbed the drum, the rattle, the pipe, the sweat lodge, the powwow, the sun dance, and just started participating in ceremony. And when I did that, my life went to a whole complete different level. And so I'm grateful for all of those people and all of those communities who kind of took me under their wing and showed me, the indigenous, tribal, spiritual way of living life. And you know, I believe that the indigenous community has the greatest untapped resource of medicine on the planet. And what I try to tell people is just pick up the tools and start to use them. And I guarantee you, your life will change. And not only will it change, you will then become a role model. You'll become a leader. And that's what we're lacking in our communities is role models and leaders that live, a very sacred spiritual life, off the land and hunting and fishing and, cutting wood and all those things. Like those things are part of who we are as people, right?
Yeah.
And we've gotten away from that because of all the residential school stuff. But the way back to, because we were once very, very powerful people.
Yeah.
Right. And we forgot how we were powerful. And we were powerful because of our spirituality and our sense of community and sharing, and all of those things were part of who we were. And, when the residential school happened, they brought in all of that trauma, traumatized our people, brought in the church,
Yeah.
and that took us away from, the core of who we were. And we're really spiritual beings.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the message that, I try to carry when I go to these communities is just go pick up the tools, man. Just go pick up the tools and use them. That's it. And I said, I guarantee you, your life will change. You will not need alcohol. You will not need drugs. You will not need all of these distractions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah, that's very, very true. Before we let you go, we always finish our interview what we call 5 rapid niche questions. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, question number 1: baked or fried bannock?
Fried.
Question number 2: ever use a bed sheet for a door or curtain?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Question number 3: ever see King of the North, aka Mr. Ernest Munias, live in concert?
I haven't seen him yet. No, I heard lots of amazing things though.
He's a really good guy. Question number 4: Indian taco or bannock burger?
Indian taco.
5th and last question: can you jig?
Well, I am Métis and I'm a sad jigger, but I don't mind giving it a try. My grandma was the Manitoba jigging champion, so she always carried a piece of plywood in the trunk of her car just in case. And my grandpa was he was the Manitoba fiddling champion at one time. My dad plays guitar, and I grew up very musical. So I actually have an album on iTunes that I wrote myself and sang in it. It's called I Am Who I Am is the name of the album. And it's basically my book, Playing with Fire, turned into music. And there's 10 different songs, and there's a lot of recovery messages in there. And yeah, it was a fun project to do. So
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks, Theo, for coming on the show.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedule to come sit with us and talk some hockey. We're really thankful, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Always good hanging out with my bros,
Yeah, for sure, man. And I mean, it's good to see you again, and it's always a pleasure to see you talk, because it's really good for our people, and we just really thank you, and keep doing what you're doing, because we really love hearing you speak and sharing your journey, and your journey's not done yet, and it's good to see you, and we wish you all the best.
Well, I always say, I think the biggest shame is that there's less than 10 Aboriginal players that play in the NHL, with the amount of talent in our communities, and my advice to young kids is just work hard, and when you get your opportunity, take it. If you got to leave home, take it. You can always go back home. right? You can
Yeah.
always go back home, and those opportunities come once in a lifetime. And you know, when we're older, you know, we don't want to have any regrets about our life, you know, and so when the opportunity presents itself, you know, take advantage of it, because you know, hockey's such an amazing sport, and you know, everything I have in my life has come from the sport of hockey. And you know, I left home when I was 15 years old to a strange city, and but it was probably the best decision that I made at that time, because I went and played a higher level of hockey. I had better competition, you know, all those
Yeah.
things. And that kind of propelled me, you know, towards my dream. And I finally made it there. And, you know, look at all I have to show for it. Right. So,
Yeah, for sure.
but
Right on,
most
that's awesome.
importantly, I have so many memories, you know, in my head that, you know, I think, you know, that's why we play the game, right?
Yeah.
Is for those memories and those opportunities. So yeah, any you young guys out there that, you know, are getting close to, you know, having that opportunity, take full advantage of it, because like I said, you don't want to have any regrets at the end of the day.
Exactly. Well said. All right, man. Thanks again. And hopefully we'll see you down the road
Sounds
sometime.
good.
All right,
Sounds good,
man.
boys.
All right. Take it easy.
See ya.
Take her easy, boys. Yep. Thanks.